What is the meaning of free consent? First of all, you have to look at what is the meaning of consent. Now, Section 13 of the Contracts Act explains what is consent. It says that consent is when two or more people agree to the same thing in the same sense. So you've got to agree on the same aspect. You've got to have a meeting of the minds between the contracting parties. You cannot have someone thinking of something and another person thinking of another thing. So it's got to be the meeting of the minds of the contracting parties. So you've got to agree, whatever that you have agreed in the contract, it has to be on the same wavelength. Yeah. And in order for the consent to be free, and when we say free consent, bukan free tu bukan percuma, free tu maksudnya it is not affected by these 5 things. All right, these 5 things should not be present when you are giving consent. When you're agreeing to a contract, these 5 things should not be present. Coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. All right, so I'm going to go through one by one what it all means. Now, remember, these 5 things bukan elemen ya, bukan ingredient ya, tapi dia adalah benda yang affect free consent. So when you agree to enter into a contract because of these 5 things, then your consent is not freely given. So you've got to give your consent willingly, freely. Yeah, so free consent here refers to that you agree to something willingly without any form of pressure, without any form of influence, or without any form of these 5 things, and that causes the consent not to be freely given. So first thing, coercion. What is the meaning of coercion? Now, coercion is defined under Section 15. So what is coercion? So coercion under Section 15, it says that when someone commits or threatens to commit, yeah, he is doing something or he is threatening to do something which is forbidden penal code. Now, what is the penal code? Penal code is an act of parliament which has all the crimes, yeah, which are prohibited, in Malaysia, which cannot be committed in Malaysia. In Malay, penal code is known as Kanun Keseksaan. Ya, Kanun Keseksaan ni satu akta yang menyenaraikan semua jenis jenayah. So if someone threatens to do something which is forbidden by the penal code, you cannot do it under the penal code. Ini adalah satu bentuk jenayah. So kalau dia threaten, dia ugut nak buat ataupun dia buat benda tu so that the other person enters into an agreement, that is coercion. Right? Now, case on point is Kanaya Lal against National Bank of India. What happened in this case is that the court decided that when you say there is coercion, this is an unlawful act. You're doing something which is unlawful with the intention to make the other person enter into the agreement. So what kind of actions are forbidden by the penal code? Now, these are some of the examples under the penal code. In fact, under the penal code, there are about 300 over, I think 400 over offenses. Yeah. So if, let's say, for example, Ali wants to enter into a contract with Abu. Ali, he wants to buy Abu's house, so or shop. Yeah. So if he says, okay, if you don't sell the shop to me, all right, I'm going to burn it down. All right. So if he says that he's going to burn down another person's property, that is an arson. Arson basically is a form of a crime under the penal code. Or if he says that, you don't do this, I'm going to hit you, or I'm going to harm your family members. All right. So causing assault, causing injury to another person, causing grievous hurt to another person is another example of an act which is forbidden under the penal code. It's a crime. All right. So if he says that I'm going to kidnap your son if you don't do what I ask you to do and sign the contract, so that is also a form of an act which is forbidden by the penal code. Kidnapping is an offense. Yeah. Or if Ali asks Abu to sign a contract and Abu does not want, and he steals things from Abu, that is also a form of an act which is forbidden by the penal code. Or if he blackmails Abu, he says that if you don't sign the contract, I'm going to post images of you, pictures of you doing certain things, all right, on the social media or something like that. So that is a form of acts which are forbidden by the penal code. All right, now there are two cases to illustrate what is meant by coercion. Now we have the case of Kesalmal, son of Lachmandas, against Valiappa Chettiar. Now what happened in this case is that this case was during the Japanese occupation of Malaya, right? Excuse me, very old case, yeah, way before we gained our independence. So what happened was that this person was asked to transfer certain property. Remember, during the Japanese, I'm sure you've read stories or you've heard stories of the Japanese occupation, whereby they seized the property belonging to the people. So what happened was that he was asked, the property owner was asked to surrender his property to the authorities, with two Japanese army standing by, making sure that he signed the contract. So that is a form of coercion. Even though they did not say anything, their presence itself was enough to give fear in the mind of the person signing the contract. So that is a form of coercion. Similarly, in the case of Chin Nambi Developments near Berhad, now this is where coercion is being made by way of extorting extra money. This was a contract for the purpose of purchasing a property, but the developer, and after the buyer had already paid deposits and all that, the developer forced them to pay extra. That's a form of extortion of money, even though it was already agreed what was the purchase price and so on. So they say that if you don't pay extra, then we will cancel the whole thing. So that's a form of coercion. So what is the effect of coercion? What happens if someone commits coercion? Now, basically, the effect of coercion is that the contract is voidable. Now, you've got to understand the meaning of voidable. Now, it is not void, it is voidable. Void, able to be void. Okay, so what does it mean? So basically what it means is that this contract, well, you can proceed with the contract if you want to, or you can rescind the contract. Rescind means to end the contract, batalkan contract tu. So who can do that? The person who was coerced, orang yang telah diugut ataupun the person who was threatened. That person is the one who has a choice, because under section 65 it says that he can either proceed with the contract or rescind it. So that's why it's voidable. It will be void if you choose it to be void. So it can be void. But if he rescinds it, if he says that he doesn't want to proceed with the contract, for example, Ali threatened Abu, asked him to sign a contract. If not, he will beat him up or whatever. Okay, so he signs the contract, but he's not doing it willingly. He was coerced. But later on, let's say, after signing the contract, now Abu is no longer afraid, maybe because he has reported the matter to the police, or he has already plucked up the courage and say that I'm no longer afraid of him. So he said, no, I'm not going to proceed with the contract. I want to rescind it. I don't want to sell you my house. And what he has to do, however, is that he has to restore the benefits. Because under section 65 says, yes, you can rescind the contract, but you've got to return whatever benefits that you have obtained through the contract, because Ali may have paid money to Abu. All right. So if Ali has already paid money to Abu, then Abu would have to return the money to Ali. Then he can get the ownership of the property back. So that is the effect of coercion. The contract is not void, it's voidable. You have a choice. The person who was coerced has a choice, either to go on with the contract or to rescind it.